Well, it's good to be back with you this week on Who's This Podcast. I'm coming to you just like I did last week as a concerned citizen of Union County, and I pastor a church here in the city of Monroe. So the city of Monroe has, I try to keep up what's going on in the city, but it's good to have the mayor, Mayor Burns, with us, and he's just coming on here today, and we're just going to talk about Monroe City, and we're going to talk about what happened over the weekend, and a little bit, and very powerful. What we're going to talk about happened over the weekend. So I'm going to give him just a few minutes to introduce himself. But before we do, I want to throw this invitation out there to every politician listening. The purpose of this podcast that we do is for people to get the word out of who they are, for them to come in and sit down, and that's why I'm doing it, Mayor Burns. I want them to come in to sit down and let people see who they are. Right. Let them share what they're going to stand on as they get voted into office. And, I think it's a concern to me this day and time that young people, especially, they say from the age of 25 and under, only about 2 out of 10 know anything about politics. And the decisions today will affect tomorrow.
That's right.
And we need to make sure that we know who we're voting for. It's a right that we've been given. And I think we ought to all get out and vote. And, man, I'm tell you what, I'm praying for our country. I believe that God can still send revival to this country if we show him that we care. I really believe on what 2 Chronicles says, if my people, which are called by my name. So we got to seek him. Yes. And we got to become humble, seek his face, turn from our wicked ways, and God will heal this land. Amen. And God still has something great. And, I believe we live in a day and time that if there's ever a time that we need to stand up, it's now.
Yes.
But enough of that. But we want to invite you to come be on. If you're a politician, we would love to have you to come on. You say, I ain't a politician. I'm just a business person trying to run for office. Great. I want you on. Just your opportunity to come in. I'm learning as we do this. I'm just going to ask a few questions and I turn it over and let each politician share their heart. But, that's about Mayor Burns is in here. He's not running for re-election. So we in here today just to chat.
There we go.
We're going to chat and share a little bit about where the city of Monroe is. So Mayor Burns, go ahead, introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Well, if you don't know, I'm Robert Burns. I am the mayor of Monroe, North Carolina. I am proud mayor of Monroe, North Carolina.
We live in an amazing city.
We really do. Amazing. I mean, one of the things I've been pushing and I've been talking a lot about is our golden age. I haven't seen Monroe thrive like this in the 30 years I've been in Union County. So when I first started running for office, just to get the word out, was really just because I wanted to help see Monroe get over that hump, right? I have been in Union County since I was 11 years old. I was born and raised in Charlotte. And I went to Piedmont Middle, Piedmont High School. I went to Wingate University. I love this place. This is home. Yeah. Monroe is home. Union County is home. And I'm very proud of this city. But it did get to a point, I think everyone can agree, the amount of promises that were being made for years in this city. You could always say, well, growth didn't come naturally. But there were a lot of promises and projects and things like that would be made. I remember being in high school and seeing land, deals being cut or land being cleared, and there'd be a project and it just never show. Yeah. And I was sick and tired of that, number one. And so I've always felt called to get into politics, believe it or not. And you talked about how everybody says, you might not be a politician. Well, let me go ahead and congratulate you. If you're asking for someone's vote, you are now a politician.
Yeah.
That's one of the most overused lines. I'm sorry, I'm not a politician. You're a politician if you're asking for someone to vote for you, period. So I do want to give some advice and say, whoever says that, stop saying that. You might not be a good politician, you can say that, but you're a politician if you're asking for someone to vote for you. However, unfortunately, poly means many, and politics, there's blood-sucking animals, or
so
there's a lot of those.
I want to
too,
stop you right there and say that
yeah.
because I've got to know you over the last few years and really enjoyed our friendship.
Yes,
and the times we've got to whether go out and just eat breakfast or lunch or whatever,
Right.
and fellowship, and it's been a blessing and to get to know you.
Yeah.
But you can't please everybody.
You can't please everybody.
You always going to have haters. You always going to have people who disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I know we've got, you stepping away this year and stepping, you fulfilled your term and God has greater plans for you and a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got two more that's coming on that's running for that seat or running for mayor.
That's right.
If you had advice to give them, how do they get through all the negativity? I mean, I'm talking about, because I know, all these people can trash talk, and they probably people going to come on this podcast. They're going to find out you did a podcast. They're going to see it. They're going to trash talk. They're going to fill the comments full of junk. I know that. I mean, but
let's go.
How do you, because I know you away from the camera. Yeah. I know you away from the microphone.
Right.
And I know your integrity. I know the person you are.
Mm-hmm.
How do you just? And I know I'm used to it as a pastor.
Sure.
But tell the people, how do you just let go of all the dirty comments and all the trash talking? And if you had to give them ones running for office some advice,
I'll tell you. First and foremost, put on the full armor of God, my friend. If He is for us, no one can be against us. And I genuinely believe that that's what gets under most people's skin. Now, it doesn't mean that things like negative things don't maybe sometimes get to you, but they don't stick to you. Does that, you know what I mean? Like they're like little baby flesh wounds. They don't stick. And so let me be clear, because I do want to clarify one thing that you said. I'm not stepping away from Monroe. As a matter of fact, I believe the Lord is calling me to a higher office. That will be announced at another time. I know there's a lot of speculation on what that is, and some of y'all might be right, but many of you are also wrong. So we'll say that too. This is something that I believe is God ordained, that God is doing. But I'm not stepping away. I'm actually taking the fight to a bigger stage. I'll tell you that right now. I don't back down from any battle, because there is a phrase, there's something in the Bible, it's in 1 Samuel 17, okay? And that is when David and Goliath were, that's the story of David and Goliath, okay? And we're going to fast forward through the story, and it's around, I believe it's like around verse 28, 27, 28, 29, something like that, because the story of David is really resonating with me a lot right now. And there is a phrase that is said, because he comes in, he hears that this giant is literally calling on and cursing on the people of Israel and God. And he is then presented by a handful of people say, oh, well, you can win if you do this, or you can win, and here's what you win if you beat him. And he's like, yeah, I don't understand. He throws all the winnings, because they tell him before he even offers to do this, what you can win if you beat Goliath. And he says a phrase in there, and he says, who is this person, this Philistine, who is coming against our God, the living God of heaven's armies, or of the armies of the living God? And I would say this, that what you need to do is you need to put on the full armor of God, because you also have to know who you are and whose you are when you go and you go into battle. Politics is it is a blood-sucking adventure, okay? There are some shady things. There are some terrible things. There are people who will say awful things about you that are flat-out lies. And how do you prevent that? You need to know who you are and whose you are and put on that full armor of God every single day.
Are they just trying to get you...
They're trying to get a rise out of
trying
you.
to get you
To
exploded.
distract you is the thing. And you know what I said? I was talking to an awesome individual. His name is Brian Echeverria. And he's got a bright future in the party. I'll see some cool things, hopefully, in the future as well. But he is a state representative for around the Cabarrus County area. And we were talking about this last week. And he literally said, when people say, well, like this vision that God has given you to run or whatever, well, I've done this and I've done this. And he says, I'm sorry you weren't in my vision. You know, and that's the thing you've got to understand, that this has got to be a calling for you.
Yeah.
You've got to know that when this is a calling and this is exactly what you decided to do, that you are going to fight, you're going to put on that full armor of God, you're going to go. Here's the best part. Knowing automatically people are just not going to like you. And the worst mistake you can make is not putting that full armor of God on and succumbing to those negative, hateful things that come across. You know, I make posts all day. I can say that it's beautiful outside. Or I could say something even about Turning Point, and we're going to talk about this later in this podcast. Turning Point halftime show was excellent. And then all of a sudden, people don't pull out that. They start talking about immigration. I didn't say anything about immigration. They start talking about like crazy stuff. You've got to be able to not react. I mean, I've had to learn that. Okay. I mean, I don't like bullies, so I'm good at like punching back at least. But in this office and in anything that you do, you can't react. You can't be reactionary. You have to be proactive. And so by doing that, being proactive and all these things, you just stay laser focused. That's the thing. My fear is, Ryle, 100%, is that there are individuals who are running, currently in office and running across many positions across not only this city, this county, and this state and country. But my fear is that they'll listen to the loudest voices at that time.
They'll be persuaded.
They will be persuaded. You cannot make everybody happy. And if that's what you think you're going to do, you're going to make nobody happy. You've got to hear me. You will make no one happy. So you just keep pushing, you keep fighting, you do what you were called to do, and you do genuinely fight for the people you were elected for. And that's what I do every single day, regardless what people say. That's how I get up every day and keep doing it.
It's amazing at the backlash that an individual gets when they just take a stand. And you was voted in for a reason.
Yeah,
and
amen.
you was voted in because you said you'd do this.
Yep.
And then when you get in there and you do this, everybody's now against you because you.
And you know what, though? And I would say this. Let me even say, whoever wins in this mayor's election or in any election across the state, they need to know that not everyone is going to also, it's the negative things. It's the things that people say that make a lot of noise, but you have no idea how many people across this state, individuals that I get messages from across this country, and across Monroe, when I'm out with my family, come up to me and thank me constantly for sticking up for that, for not backing down. So I would say this, and I'm not trying to get the enemy to stop. They're going to do what they're going to do, okay, or the people that are going to come after you. But I don't think they've caught on yet that negativity actually gets your name out more. My social media right now hits around 6 million people a stinking month now.
That's good.
From X to Facebook and I don't sit there and bicker with people.
You just say, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing.
That's basically what I do. And every time someone comes out and throws some more shade, let them do it, because it's not going to distract from what I'm going to do. And the easiest way to correct that, if you don't like me, just don't vote for me. And most of them wouldn't anyways.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I know that we could go on and on about this for, I could take this further, how it's affected your wife, how it's affected your kids and all that. Because
I would say positively.
Positively?
I would say positively. I would say that the people closest to me, it's positively affected them, because it's my strength in God that keeps pushing me to move forward. I don't get hung up on what people say and what they do.
Yeah.
And I think it's made my family stronger. It's made my kids stronger. They see a dad who's not going to back down or change his mind because people are saying crazy stuff, because they know, like you said, the character of who I am. I have never said one thing in my office and done the complete opposite. Not one single time. But I can give you multiple instances when individuals behind that dais, and I won't say any names because, you know,
that's one of our rules. We can't.
No. I won't say any names because that's not for me to figure out. That's for the people. Yeah. Because I am going to say the one thing I do respect about all those people behind the dais is that they do put their name out there when other people aren't. So you don't like them, vote them out. Or better yet, why don't you go get involved?
Yeah.
They've at least done that.
That's what bothers me. So many people want to put their opinion into politics and say, I think I want to do, but they won't even go vote.
Or get involved. Put that in there. Yeah. Some people even go vote, but then they think that that's enough. The reality is that there are some awesome people out there that would make incredible, like life-changing decisions for our city. And then yet, I just got too much going on. Well, okay, go and vote. We appreciate your vote. Thank you for your vote. Yes. But you know how you can make the most impact? Like go and help those candidates. Go and knock doors. Go pass things out. Why don't you, instead of helping to spread the negativity and get into arguments online, why don't you start spreading positivity online and say, this is what I'm seeing?
Our country, our county, our city, it's so divided.
Amen.
So divided.
It is.
What good, do I believe that we live in the best country? Absolutely.
100%.
It's the only place that, hey, you can dream it, you can do it if you got the willpower.
I believe it.
But, speaking on that same thing, you talking about the city of Monroe, I think you've done an amazing job in what you've done in the short time you've been here and what we've seen taking place. I think I read an article this week that, and tell me if I'm wrong, but Monroe has grown in the last 5 years 25%. Is that correct? 25%. And we have seen. We've seen. Look at downtown. Downtown is flourishing with new businesses around every corner, and we've seen things come in. I don't know what the impact, and you can maybe tell us a little bit about just the project of FedEx coming over here. I mean, what kind of impact did that have on the city of Monroe? It had to have a major impact on the city of Monroe. But there's a few hot topics in our county, and even in our, and I want to ask you about the city. As far as the infrastructure, with all the growth and all the subdivisions, and I know there's negativity, and we can say this about roads and cul-de-sacs, and I know there's so many, and there's things that was probably voted in office before even the council that's sitting on the board now was voted in.
Before them?
Before them that might have went in. But I'm saying when you look at the infrastructure in the city of Monroe, where are we at with the infrastructure? Would you say that we are behind? If we are behind, how far behind are we, and what is it going to take to catch up? Where would you say was at with infrastructure?
Okay, so let's be clear. So there's a couple things.
Because I know y'all just asked for $1 million water waste. Is that?
No. Okay. So let me kind of like back up a little bit. So yes. So let's talk about first the downtown projects and the businesses and stuff like that. Let's talk about growth, and then I'll touch on how that impacts the infrastructure. Okay. So number one, growth doesn't matter. It should not be the qualification of a successful city. Let's not ever, ever, ever do that. If that was the case, then our infrastructure could potentially be in complete ruin. So for any candidates who are running or anybody who's trying to understand something, never allow quantity of something to be the qualification for you. Allow quality to be the qualification, okay? So just because we see growth at 25% doesn't mean success. What is success is when individuals are living here, working here, and playing here. That's success. So let's talk about that. Before I came into office, okay, 2 years ago, we are moving at an incredibly fast pace. My administration, I will not take credit, but I'm saying since I've been here, because there are a lot of things, great things that we've done, that we've pushed, and I work really well with our city manager and the administration there, stuff like that, okay? But let's say that when I got here, you take it for what it is, 40% of the people who worked in Monroe lived in the area, Ryle. 40%. Do you know right now it's 70%?
Wow.
That, to me, is success. These are not made up figures. These come from our economic development, okay? So 70% of the people who work in the city of Monroe live in the area. That means all of Union County, Monroe. Yeah. But before I got here, it was 40. That's literally 2-year difference. That's a 30% swing. That's success to me, okay? What we don't want to do is we don't want to, what I would say, prostitute ourselves out to any developer and builder, okay? Because we want quality. We do not want the ability to have to bring in all this industry and then we want to become bedroom community where like people aren't really living here with resources, nice grocery stores or restaurants and stuff like that. So what we've done over the course of the past 2 years is we've pushed significantly to improve downtown. When I came in here, listen, it takes business owners, and let's also be clear, it takes business owners' desire and want to invest in our downtown. Kudos to them. They are awesome. Every single one.
A lot of them buildings down there had to have a lot of money put into
Amen.
them to pull them up to code.
And let me be very clear, every one of them. I'm not calling out one specific. I'm not calling out one I don't like. I'm saying every one of them downtown. They don't have to think like me or have politics like me. What we did was we cleaned up our internal processes. That's how I did that. That's how I made an impact. Is we came in, we cleaned up internal processes to make it a smoother business decision for individuals. Yeah. We have an economic development that we separated from the county in the joint venture, which I'm just going to be honest, I don't think was a success. And it's not because of the county. It's not because of the city. It's because we have two different goals. The county's focusing on the county. We need to focus on the city. We eventually separated. It was a natural thing, but thank God, it was one of the first things I said to our city manager.
I ain't gonna say loopholes, but so many lines on a sentence or so many words in a sentence that kept them from wanting to invest? They had to do so much, or what?
No. And I don't want to even like go throw any shade to anybody in that sense. It's just their focus. The county naturally needs to be all of the county.
I'm talking about these business owners when they come in downtown.
Oh yeah. So when it came down to the business owners specifically, it was a lot of lines on the sentence. There was a lot of actually empty promises that were made from previous, individuals that worked for the city specifically. I mean, and you just simply have to go and knock doors and talk to businesses, which I've done plenty of times. And they would tell you that, hey, like if I build a facade, I get this amount of money in grants and stuff like that. They would go back to actually go get that money, or they would do that work and they wouldn't get it. It's the truth. I don't know how else to help, how else to bring that up. And so we fixed a lot of those processes, so it was easier. And then I would say that, just going to say it, my social media presence, 99% of that for the past 2 years has been nothing but promoting our city.
I talked to an individual, and it sort of bothers me in a way, but this is really how the system works in a lot of cases. I know an individual was going to buy a piece of land, and he went downtown. This wasn't in the city; it was in the county. Mm-hmm. But he went downtown to talk about getting this piece of land rezoned, and they said, "No, we can't rezone it." And so he didn't buy the land. And another person came in and bought the land and immediately had it rezoned. And he said something to somebody about, I don't want to throw nobody under the bus, but he said something to somebody else about how did he get that thing rezoned so quickly. And he said, if you'd have come and talked to us, we would have rezoned it for you just like that. So why is that the case? Why is that the case? Why is that the case that if you were somebody, if you got money, you can get whatever you want?
It's called bureaucracy at its finest. Bureaucracy, a bureaucrat is an individual in power in government that was not elected to be there to represent the people. So oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes that is an individual who exercises self-interest. We have, through work with our city manager and his team, they've done a phenomenal job. We've removed a lot of that. It's still there because people know people and stuff like that, but we've removed a lot of that. I would say part of it, that's maybe internally in some circles around Monroe. That might be why I get even still some pushback from individuals otherwise would like the things that I'm doing, is simply because of the fact that we don't play favorites.
Yeah.
I don't play favorites. I want a process so you can't skip the line, period. And that's what happens. Now, listen, it does help to know your council members. It does help to know your mayor. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the office of mayor. People need to be more involved. It does help to know your county commissioners and the city and the county manager and the attorney. Of course it does. And for the most part, every one of them should be putting themselves out there to be able to be addressed or talked to or whatever. Now, I'm not talking about some social media angry post here, okay?
Yeah.
All right? Like, I'm meeting with an individual this week who is running for city council, and she's a Democrat. She asked for a meeting. I'm going to meet her. Why would you not meet with someone when you're asking for a civil discussion and she wants – I'll meet with her. I mean, I'm obviously not endorsing her, but like I can talk with an individual like that. And so I don't understand that, on that side. But going back to the bureaucracy that we're talking about, how do you fix that? You eliminate silos. That's what we've done in the city. You eliminate where individual departments have their own say in the way that you do processes. So I brought a project to city manager, and I say but again, it's much more than I brought a project to city manager. There was about 2 years ago, or a little bit more than that. I'd say actually let me back up. Maybe probably about 18 months ago. There was a project that came between Statesville and Rock Hill, South Carolina. Statesville, North Carolina, Rock Hill, South Carolina is a $400 million project. Okay. Do you know why Statesville won the project over Rock Hill, South Carolina, and it has lower taxes? Was their permitting process was faster. Their feather in their cap was a 7-day permitting process. I took that to our city manager and I said, Mark, we really got to do something about this. It's bad. You know it's bad. I know it's bad. Monroe's notorious for this. We've got to fix this. And it took some work, and they worked at it. I did not work at that. That is all the credit due to them. But it was an idea. We need to work on this. And you know what? We've brought that down, Ryle, from around 45 days to sometimes 90 days to roughly 7 days for residential, 14 days for commercial properties.
Can't turn it around.
There you go.
They're willing to
invest now.
Yeah.
Now they're willing to put their time and their effort and their money, because whenever those projects sit on the table, it's costing money for those developers. And so word has gotten out that we've improved our processes and people want to develop and do stuff.
That's awesome. Hey, so tell us about the infrastructure. Where's it at?
So going to the infrastructure, infrastructure is a lot of things. Okay, it's not just water.
Yeah,
but it's
roads, sewer, everything.
Roads, sewer,
school.
Everything.
Hey,
yes.
and another thing.
Yeah,
you talking about? Let's just back up for a second. I don't want to jump the gun.
Okay.
But I was talking to an individual,
Mm-hmm.
and when we think about infrastructure, a lot of times we think about schools, we think about roads, and that's the biggest things: schools, roads, sewer, and water. That is the biggest 4 things when you think about infrastructure.
Right.
But many times we forget about the grocery store.
Okay.
And you say, why is that? Well, I talked to an individual the other day, and they live down towards Paisley. And they said, man, we've got all these houses going in, and there's one grocery store. They scared, they said, man, you go to the grocery store, there's nothing on the shelf.
So let me kind of like touch that, and we'll talk about infrastructure, but let me touch that. There's a misconception that more houses equal a grocery store. It is demographics of a house, of the housing development. That is why quality matters, once again, over quantity, okay? So there's not a single major grocery store, not a single one, that will build without doing a demographic study if they can support their brand. So, you build all those homes and they are either lower quality or high density housing with lower quality materials. What type of grocery store do you think you're going to get? You're not going to get a Trader Joe's. You're not going to get a Harris Teeter. You're not. It's reality.
You're going to get a Dollar General.
You're going to get a Dollar General. As a matter of fact, that's their model, right?
Yeah.
Why do Lowe's Home Improvement or a Home Depot, why do they go in a certain area? They do demographic studies,
They
man.
know where they can.
They know where they can go, where the building and everything else happens, and where they can support their brand. That is the same exact way with grocery stores. So just because there's a lot of grocery stores doesn't mean that you're going to, or I'm sorry, a lot of houses, doesn't mean you're going to get a grocery store there. Specifically, if there's a Food Lion and their model is a certain demographic between $100,000 and $500,000 homes with X amount of people, if that qualifies for those homes or those developments, but they have one within 2 or 3 miles, that does not equal a Harris Teeter.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. And there's a huge misconception. So anyways, let's go to the infrastructure.
Yeah, because we want to get to this Charlie Kirk thing.
Yes.
Or the turning point. And so, but go ahead, go to infrastructure. So don't leave us. Hold on.
Leave.
You want to hear us about the turning point. But
yeah,
go ahead.
Let's talk. And I'll quickly talk about this because I love explaining processes to people so people understand that I think I know what I'm talking about. But like, you can't just have pie in the sky. You have to know the how to. Yeah. So infrastructure is water, sewer, electrical, gas. It's fiber optics. Then it's streets, schools-ish, but that's handled by someone different other than the city and that type of stuff. So when you look at the city of Monroe, we are very, very blessed. Okay. We own all of those resources on our own. We actually own them. That's why we're in the golden era of Monroe.
That's awesome.
Okay. So we own our own water, our own sewer. We do need some partnership with, and we already have some, and I love the ability that we partner with the county, but we're not dependent on the county. But I love that we have a partnership with them just to help service certain areas where we don't have to go and like build a few extra water towers or pump stations or things like that. Okay. So we have our own water, sewer, electrical. We own, I think up to now 12% of Reactor 1 in Lake Wiley. These are great investments over time. Once again, that our previous councils have done, not any current previous councils,
I'll be honest,
but the ones that were out probably a couple of years to 20, 30 years ago.
I'll tell you something else. And
natural gas, we own that.
And I hate to keep stopping you to run rabbits, but there was one, and I ain't going to mention no names because I don't want to know, but there was one mentioned the other night when we was at Monroe, and they was talking about just the importance of bringing an airplane hangar to our airport and the money that it could bring in. By being able to store, just little stuff like that brings in so much money.
Oh man, so again, quality over quantity, Ryle. Everyone in the county needs to focus on this, from who's running for county commissioners to who's running for city councils, mayors across the. It should always be quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Commercial projects, okay, these manufacturers that we have brought in, okay. Do you know right now on our manager's desk, we have over 1 million square feet, 1 million square feet of potential projects on our manager's desk right now through economic development. That brings more tax revenue than multiple neighborhoods. You should never base your tax value on bringing in people. It should never be that. It's so minuscule. The tax revenue you get off of each home per person, it literally can strain your infrastructure. It should always be, businesses. It should be commercial properties.
So you got to balance them. You got to balance.
It should be way heavier commercial, way heavier manufacturing, property tax. So let's talk about that. That's what you're referring to. Property tax is the same for homes, okay-ish. And then you have, that's what you're measuring your tax value. Okay. And so then now let's move to hangar spaces, and then those airplanes that are in those hangars. Okay. Some of these airplanes can be $20 million, $30 million. You make more money off of that one airplane than you do full all-out neighborhoods that are bringing in thousands of people. Do you know right now, we've not approved not a single neighborhood since I've been in Monroe and been the mayor. Now, nobody's ever heard me say I'm anti-growth. Yeah. Never. That's never come out of my mouth. Okay. I've not asked for a moratorium. I've not done any of that. We want quality. Okay. But I don't want these neighborhoods that are like, hey, let's just go and bid up and put up, cheap siding. We've got plenty of things like that. Like we've already said, we need some affordability. Don't get me wrong, but it needs to be quality, it needs to be in the right spot.
Yeah.
So we have to, once again, go back to quality. And a helicopter, a couple of planes, they don't even have to be G5s or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. They make more money for the city than full on-out neighborhoods.
I know when he said that other night.
He's completely right.
I said, man, how awesome it. I mean, that goes to bring in a whole lot of, that bring out a pile of money.
There are individuals that have tried to get on council and mayor. I won't say any names, but have been trying for years and have literally said things about the airport. Oh, well, we shouldn't, really focus, and maybe that person might fly sometimes, I don't know, but should not focus so much on the airport and all this other stuff. Are you kidding me?
That is a gold mine.
It's a huge gold mine, because then if you are investing in the airport as a city,
over there tells you it's a gold mine, right?
Then you start getting Gold Mine Road, I'm telling you. But then you start looking at, what does that do? We have international companies now looking to come to Monroe, because we also have a customs department there. And they're going to bring, and not only have they suggested, or not only have they already gotten incentives and they're building a place, but that same company is looking at potentially moving their entire world headquarters to our city because of that airport.
Wow.
Now you tell me, that's what you got to do. Big, I'll say this. I've said it for a long time. It's nothing new, by the way, if anybody else says it, because I've said it for the longest time. This is one of my promises. Run this city like a business, and we will flourish. Focus on the downtown. As the Bible says, using biblical application, focus on the small things so the bigger things grow. It's a ripple effect. And that's what you got to do. And that's what we've got to continue to do. That's the type of people that's who we need in office.
So infrastructure, where we at behind? So we ahead, we where we're supposed to be?
I would say this. We could have done a lot better for so many years. Infrastructure means roads, okay? Infrastructure means roads as well. Do you know that our finance department and our administration, now I'm not talking about the current administration, I'm talking about people in admin roles inside of City Hall, have told that council, this is their words, not mine, for over 10 years, the money set aside was not good enough for the road infrastructure. For 10 years, Ryle. So you know what we did? This is just listening to our people. I put out a post in 2024, towards the end, before our first retreat that we had when I was on council. And I said, no other council member did this. What are your concerns? Roads, 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 roads. Everybody said roads. Everybody said roads. So you know what they did? Our city administration, with my direction and help, of course, from them. They did all the statistics. They did all of the stuff. They went and they got the road people. They got NCDOT. They came and they presented to us all this type of stuff. And that's where administration told us, or people in admin roles and in finance said, that we only allotted for $2 million, Ryle, 10 years ago. And it's never changed. $2 million. So let me tell you something. With inflation and crazy COVID and all this other stuff, it's $2 million every year. Still every year, but $2 million, same 10 years ago.
That'll fix this day and time. That'll fix potholes on one road.
Do you think $2 million now is the same as $2 million?
Absolutely
No, it's not. It doesn't go as far. And we did not change that until after we did that in our retreat. And so then it came into budget. And so now we have a program and we have a setup and all this other stuff. And the budget came, and I was not for the budget. I did not vote for the budget. Let me be very clear, because there's way too much spending still happening. 100%. I think we need to be more fiscally responsible. But the idea of putting that road stuff came from our ideas from the retreat, and we are fixing it. So now there's $4 million added to that. Okay? And so through the course of this new plan, our city's doing better, but I'm still not satisfied because we raised taxes. Yeah. So I had multiple meetings with administration along with Councilman Dotson, and so I'm just going to throw that out there because some people might say something. But I did not vote for that budget. I did not vote because it came with a tax increase, and that is not being fiscally responsible. And the things that we protected our city from happening to us by saying no, and even meetings, would blow your mind. Blow your mind.
Wow.
But regardless of that, that wasn't your question. The question with infrastructure is that we're still not there. Now, as far as water, sewer, energy, and natural gas, we're okay. We're good.
We fixing to do expansion.
Yeah, we're working on it. But you know what? We have again, through our direction, we've had all these numbers for so long tossed around, Ryle, and this is probably really boring to people, but we've been tossed, like we're behind or we're ahead or we're behind or we're ahead and all this other type of stuff. And that should never be the qualification, once again, for good quality stuff that's coming to our city. But finally we said, okay, enough of this. Do a real flat out study. Where are we? And we're actually in really good spots. So while we were planning to do an expansion, it's not as necessary at this time. So now, because we were already planning on that, we're way ahead of schedule.
So it's just a 5-year. I mean, it's a year plan down the road.
So it needs to probably come back up in about another 3 to 5 years.
So I reckon probably the biggest thing when it comes to infrastructure that needs to be fixed in Monroe is probably just it could go down to the traffic and roads.
Amen. That's really the biggest problem that we're having.
I think the biggest, what I'm hearing, one of the biggest issues in the city of Monroe is at Highway 74 and 601 South. I hear people all the time saying that, man, it backs up all the way past the country club, the golf course down there, all the way past the bridge, back to that neighborhood in the morning. And so it's awful. And so
that's NCDOT stuff. The NCDOT, just so everybody knows, is severely over budget. Like, I mean, severely. So they're not even looking for new projects until probably around 2033 from what they've said. However, I have seen plans for where they're coming all the way past Rolling Hills, all the way up to actually 601 right here at 74 and 601, where it merges into 74 for a little bit. With roundabout, or not roundabouts, but, like an on and off ramp. And they're, so that's going to be an expressway all the way through that. They're going to start working that towards the end of this year. That's all NCDOT stuff. As far as going all the way up to 601 South up there by the country club, there are some plans that are already been done. And so when they start, it really just depends, but they are severely over budget for this area. And there's not going to be any new projects other than what's been approved. But I do believe that project has been approved. I'm pretty sure of it, where it's just a transition and they're going to widen that spot and make it a little bit easier.
That's good. Well, let's get to
all right.
Let's get to the turning point.
Now, some of y'all might want to fast forward to 41.
This is something great.
Yes,
I'm telling you, a lot of people did not see it. A lot of people missed the whole picture, and even the Christian missed it. And they missed the layout of this. And I think that, and they didn't see the big picture, because when they looked, they said, man, you talking about Erica now running Turning Point. You mean to tell me she went out and got Kid Rock to do their Christian halftime show? And because they said, you know what, we're not going to do, well, I'm going to call him that. I'm not going to do the Bad Bunny on the regular halftime show. We're going to do our own halftime show. And so I don't know about you. I enjoyed it. I watched it. I enjoyed it.
Enjoyed the TPUSA one.
Yeah. Yep. Turning Point. And I'm telling you what, it was awesome now that when I seen what was going on, what was taking place. So let's it was all centered around Christianity. Mm-hmm. It was all centered
and love
around
of country.
Yeah, a little bit of country.
Well, love of country.
The love of the country.
Yes, absolutely.
And here's another. I talked to somebody this morning about this. I said, you know what? They were talking about that show, and I said, you know what? Charlie Kirk didn't even like country music.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't like country music. Because I've been listening to his podcast for years, and he never bragged. He never talked. He never liked country music. Okay. Is what I've took from him, hearing him speak. But let's just fast forward to the end.
Yes.
Of the show.
Okay.
And I want to let you explain.
Okay.
I want you to explain and let the people, because I'm telling you, I would be surprised. I would say 95% of the people that's Christians that still ain't got it.
They didn't pick up on it.
They didn't get what took place.
Now, they might have seen some social media by now. I don't know. Depends on when you watch this. So, let's just clarify. Okay. Number one, this Turning Point thing, I think it Could there have been probably better music?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
in a lot of people's minds, absolutely. Okay.
You could have got Lee Greenwood. You could have got all these
Sure.
ones that sung about.
Sure, absolutely. But there's some stories that were in that. Even Gabby Bennett, okay? The very first song that she sang, okay? She sang about, that was written about how she was broken, about how her husband had cheated on her. People didn't need to pick up on this. And about how her, I hope that makes you happy. I've heard that song. I didn't know, honestly, who she was. I didn't know, but I was like, man, this girl could sing, you know? And I'm there with like my kids and stuff like that. And so it's like, she's literally talking about, hope that makes you happy, about how like, you know, y'all make each other happy because somebody cheated on him and all this other stuff. Then you go to the next song. She talks about one of the good ones. And what's that name of that song? Well, the name of that song is about how she found love again, and he's one of the good ones. And one of my daughters was telling me, well, it's because she's married to now one of her guitarists, I think, or something like that. And she has a new song out. She didn't sing it last night. I was kind of disappointed in that. But actually, one song I do know, because my kids have it saved on one of my playlists, and it's really good. And it talks about Jesus, man. It talks about how, and that's the thing. It's a redemptive story.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of primed that. And all of a sudden, some guys come in and they introduce Kid Rock. And he, you know, comes out and sings Ball with the Ball, the bang, diggity, or whatever that is.
Just like how he does all these concerts.
Yeah, that's right. So he looked like previous Kid Rock, the guy we all know. Okay. And he shoots up, he's wearing his fur coat and all this other stuff. And there are some choice words that weren't repeated necessarily in that song. But if you watched him, I'm like, some of this is bad lip singing.
Yeah.
And I picked up on that. I'm like, hold on, like he's not even singing certain parts. He's not singing it, but the track was playing it. And my wife even said something to me. She, I can't even believe that he would sing. I was like, you weren't paying attention. He was actually singing it. And some people were chalking up like, man, that's bad lip singing. That's bad lip singing. And my kids and honestly, I didn't pay much attention to the words. Even when that song came out, I didn't really follow him. So I know the song, I only know the chorus, ball with the ball, bang, bang, diggity, whatever that is. Okay. I knew that. Okay. But other than that, like, I don't know any of the lyrics to that song, but my wife's like, they're really bad lyrics. I'm like, okay. And you read them and yes, they're bad lyrics. Okay. Yeah. So let's just be clear. So, but they introduce him as Kid Rock and he comes out and he sings that.
Looking and then just like he used to.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden classic music comes on. And even my daughters were like, this is a complete change. Because she was sitting right beside me. She said, Dad, that's kind of, I'm like, I know.
It goes from up here.
Yeah.
It seemed like down here.
Yeah.
Because it was rocking.
Oh, man.
And then
it was like, it just, bam, it completely changed. And it was a stinking hymn. And I just sat there. I'm like, what is this? Because the guy's kind of dressed like an old, like, American, revolutionary type, garb or whatever, old dress. And it was beautiful. I'm just kind of like, man, this is good. And then those same guys come back out on stage and introduce Robert Ritchie. And he sings, what's that song? It's like Second Chance.
Second Chance, yeah.
Something like that, okay?
From Cody Johnson.
Yep. And I'm like, I didn't realize he sang that song. I even said that to my daughter while we were there. And I was like, I was kind of moved because that music kind of changed my heart. Like, I'm like, what is this? Like, I was kind of a little bit thinking back.
Different outfit.
But he comes out and I'm like, wait a second, is that him? And I literally had to Google his name. And I'm like, that is actually Kid Rock's name. And it dawned on me. And then I'm like, okay, so he's singing Second Chance. And then he stops as the music's still playing. And he says, it dawned on me that I had that one night or one morning or whatever, Sunday morning, he wakes up and he's like, I needed to write a third verse to this song. And he did. And it was about Jesus.
Plan of salvation.
Here is the message. So you have second chance before you get another chance or you whatever. Take the opportunity is really what it is. And I said something to my wife last night. I said, that's the message. He is an artist. He's not just a musician. A lot of these guys are really artists. The Bible talks about when you come to Christ, you're a new creation.
2 Corinthians 5:17.
Yeah. It is beautiful. And it literally chokes me up thinking about it. that people right now on social media are railing this guy. They're railing him for his past, and understandably so. It's confusing, but you're a new creation in Christ, man. That's the good news of the gospel of Jesus, is that you are not the same. And that is what that message is,
so
man.
his performance was, this is who I used to be. I heard
Christ.
him, and this is who I am now.
He's a new creation. He wants to be known by the name his mama gave him.
Robert Ritchie.
There you go. He's not some personality over here, and he still is. People still say Kid Rock, Kid Rock, Kid Rock, because that's how we know him. But like, he was introduced as Robert Ritchie. He's a new person. He's renewed. He's refreshed in Jesus Christ. That's the message of it. And it was beautiful if you really think about it, because we are never guaranteed another chance. And so I was talking to my wife about this last night, and the guy from Korn, who plays the guitar, and then the guy who's he's like the bassist, and then he's the drummer. Both of those guys now are Christians too. They don't look like me. They don't dress like me. Now, they don't look coked out anymore or crazy and all this other stuff, but they still play hard rock music, because I heard his testimony. He's like, this is my ministry. Now, that can't be for everybody, and I understand that there's a justification process and there's a sanctification process. And that justification is just as if you've never sinned. You've come to Christ, but there's a sanctification process you should never get over, and you should consistently and always get better. And that is the beauty about the gospel of Jesus, man. When he radically changes you, and you know this because you're a pastor, I'm just telling everybody this. When he radically changes you, you're not the same.
Yeah.
You're not the same. You're new, and you're brand new, and it's a renewing of your mind and of your spirit and of your soul, of your body. And man, he did look different last night. It shocked me. It literally did. I was like, man, he didn't
even have his sunglasses on when he sung that song. I mean, he took that off. He said, he took the old me off.
Amen.
He's seen different.
He is. He is seen different.
And so, it blows my mind but we miss things like that.
You know, oftentimes in our own faith, we get too critical of like other people's walks.
Why in the world would, so many people, why in the world would they have Kid Rock? Out of all the people, why would they have Kid Rock? And you got to realize the influence that Kid Rock had.
On a generation.
He had the influence he had. And, sure, where the world is at. I mean, he wrote a song or published a song. I think he sung it in 1997, recorded in 2001, and it talked about being with underage girls and all this. This is in his wild prime days of his life. But yet, I think it was in 23 or 24, he goes on a Joe Rogan podcast, and he sits down with him face to face. Joe Rogan, he'll tell you that he's not a believing Christian. He don't believe, but yet he sits there face to face, and Kid Rock shares the gospel with him.
Amen.
Shares his testimony and shares the gospel with him. And Joe Rogan said, if he would walk in right now, I would love to be introduced to him. And Kid Rock,
Jesus, he said?
Yeah, that's what Kid Rock said. He's here now.
Amen.
And so, they showed part of this testimony last night while he was singing.
Yeah.
And so,
it's so moving.
So I hope just bringing that out, I hope that you look at that halftime show a little different. And I hope that, you ever been around them people and they bring up something, you say, man, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
That's what you got to look at when, when you look at the halftime show.
We live in a world of being incredibly critical. And contrary to what some people might think, I'm not critical. I'm actually the type of person who's different. I believe that our best days are ahead of us, because I'm always looking for Jesus. Mm-hmm. And so when you are sitting there and you get this analysis paralysis, or like the frozen chosen, or whatever you want to call it, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not me. There's work to do to make this place in this world a better place. Yeah. That is who I am in my heart. So I love people. I literally, you might not believe me if you're listening to me, but if you're critical of me online, I don't literally hate you. I literally don't. You can meet me, talk to me anytime in person. Very few actually really do, so you do. I will admit that we get a lot of keyboard warriors, but that's not a challenge for you to come and challenge me in person. I'm saying you can talk
down
to
and
me.
eat breakfast with
It don't matter. And that's what I'm saying. We're so critical of people. What I will not do, though, is I will not ever waver on my values. I will never waver on my values. The beauty about our politics and our system is you can vote for whoever you want to. right? And so, you know what? You don't like my values, then you have the free choice you have the right to not vote for me. You have the right to do it. And you know what? And it's fascinating because that's why I have learned to not be critical of other people's walks with Jesus. I can tell you that the Bible does say that Jesus himself says that you will be known by the way you love your brothers, not brothers in Christ. That's what he's referring to. And then the second thing is if you follow my commandments, that if you have actually been affected and changed by Jesus. But some people are radically changed spiritually, but they need to get there too.
Yeah.
And that's what the sanctification process is. That maybe they've fully dedicated and given their lives to the Lord, but maybe they're not being discipled. That's why being discipled matters so much too. And maybe they're not being discipled properly.
And it's our job.
Like that.
You know, the church, I believe the Christians have failed on that. You know,
we have.
We have failed on the second calling God called us to do and to make disciples.
Amen.
But Mayor, it's been good to sit down with you and talk to you.
Always.
I want to say thank you for what you've done for our city.
It's my honor.
And look forward to in the days ahead what God has in store. And
we will be announcing soon.
So maybe you can opportunity you can come back and share with us what you're going to do. And
I'd love to.
Looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
And,
okay.
I think I can. I can guess, but I'm looking.
You might be wrong. You might be wrong. You might be right. Who knows?
But I'm looking forward to it. Again, thank you for the job you've done. Thank you for your stand. Thank you for what you've done for the city of Monroe. I know that I just proud to know that our church sits here and we tickle to death in the city limits, and I'm proud to call you our mayor here.
Thank you.
I appreciate you stand. I appreciate your integrity. I see a lot of things. I know your stand. I know your belief. I know where you stand. But there's a few things that people put out there that is not true. I never see you beat nobody over the head with the Bible. You don't do that.
I won't do it.
That's not how you are. And you see people that say that's your agenda. That's not how you are. They don't know you. They've not sat down and got to know you. Maybe they've heard what people said.
Yeah.
But that's one thing I've studying politics and studying. One question that I shared with a guy the other day. I said, "How do you in politics? How do you plan on staying true to your stand, staying true to your belief, but yet ministering to the other half that don't believe like you?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "You know what? You look at men of God in the Bible, Joseph, Elijah was one. All Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, Daniel, all these men that held a high place in office, but yet held that high place with people around them that was non-believers, and people still entrusted in them. Why did they entrust in them? Because they stayed true to their integrity, and they was honest. And as long as you have a great integrity and you're honest, you'll go a long way. And,
and I would say this. I would say that, and I know we're wrapping up, but I would say this: your integrity and your honesty can always be questioned, because there are a lot of dishonest and not genuine individuals that are in office. The way that you actually, in my belief, the way that you show that is that you don't change. That's the difference. Publicly, listen, I don't, you could say, oh, he acts like one person on social media. No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I'm the same literally everywhere I go. Yeah. I actually am being more transparent because I'm sharing with you what I actually believe.
Yeah.
I believe in righteousness. I believe that our best days in Monroe and our state are ahead. I believe that we've got to focus more on, small government. And, I'm very critical of people who believe in big government. Absolutely. I'm very political when it comes to that stuff. Absolutely. Yeah. Because those are my political beliefs. I don't change. I don't say that, I believe in small government, but then go vote for big government policy issues, for more taxes and more burden on the people, and, not having property rights and things like that. I don't do that. That is not who I am. I've never done that.
Yeah.
And so You know, I believe, you know, like, you know, with the Charlie Kirk thing, we had a Charlie Kirk event downtown. Like, I believe in protecting our people. And so they're like, oh, it costs $10,000. The mayor's like spending money. No, I'm not. Like, it was a guy that was assassinated. Okay. And people felt unsafe. I didn't ask for more police. That's what the chief of police's duty, to look at and assess the situation, online threats and such. Cause I had to have my own security there that night.
Yeah.
And I paid for that. No one else paid for that. The city didn't pay for that. They didn't pay to protect my family, my kids, other than having police there and stuff like that. But that was an assassination on an individual who affected a lot of people who believe in that. But you know what? Like, anyone else who has any event downtown, it is our job as the city, regardless of what it is, if I believe in it or not, to make sure people feel safe, Ryle. That's not changed. I've not changed. So that's the thing. You know, and I think that's what people need to know. When I say that I will stand up for individuals' rights, even people who've come to City Hall to come and just drill me with stuff. Do you know some of those individuals have even admitted, and I hope that they would not change their mind or lie about it, but I've given them the time allotted for them also, where, you know, there are times where I might have miscalculated their time, but there are other individuals who've come up there to speak out against me and said, hey man, you actually have another minute to go. Things like that. You know, I have never voted to eliminate their free speech. None of that.
You know what? Something that I've stood out to me when I've come up there is how that somebody can come up there and call somebody out by name, and everybody flip out. But they'll sit there and call you out by name, and you never say a word.
Never say a word.
You just said it. Let them talk.
Let them talk.
And so
freedom of speech. I've never voted to keep their freedom of speech down. Never. Not one time. Not eliminate minutes. Not record it, none of it. And almost always, it's changed a little bit. Dynamics have changed a little bit, but it's backfired, I believe, on those individuals who voted for it. And I don't mean to like keep this going, but I'm literally telling you that I'm the same person always. So when I say I'm for the freedom of speech, if you don't like me, I'm not going to delete your comments online.
I did do something. And, one night I was down there, and after one of the meetings, and I was walking out, and I met a gentleman that talked against you, talked against what I stood for or what the reason I was there.
Yep.
But just taking time after the meeting to shake his hand, talk to him, come to find out, he really wasn't. We was only against one thing. It wasn't that he was a awful bad person or I was awful bad person. It's amazing what happens when you just take a minute to talk to somebody. You'll learn a lot about somebody.
But you know what? I'm again running over time. But I'll tell you this.
Tell you
this. I mean, when somebody's a boogeyman, too many people. Let me just end with this. Okay, I'll end with this and we're done, because, you know, I could talk about this for days and you'll always know that about me, okay? I could talk for days. I love talking to people and sharing, but I'll say this one last thing. People have become parrots of information and not knowers of information. And instead of going and learning the truth, because they would much rather still parrot information, because when they learn the truth, it adds responsibility to their words. There you
That's
go.
Good. Amen. Hey, we want to thank you for tuning in to today with Who's This Podcast. I ask you to hit the share button, get the word out, and pass it along. And we've got more to come. We've got more coming in, politicians coming in throughout the week and the days ahead. So, again, we want to thank you for tuning in. Again, good to have Mayor Burns, and look forward to what God has in store for him in the days ahead. And we'll keep you posted. Hope you have a wonderful day, and God bless you.
God bless.